Hey, what is up everybody? It's been kind of a crazy world lately. A few things going on I want to talk about, so we'll get into it. Hey, what is up everybody? How are you guys doing? Thanks for checking out this video. Any support for the channel is awesome. We got a few things going on in the country right now, and I'm always looking at it as in the big picture. How does this relate to the big picture? And how is it going to affect the future and affect my life? First of all, the elephant in the room, we got this Los Angeles issue going on, the LA riots, the protests, whatever you want to call it. It seems like it died down overnight. This is late, mid-Monday morning right now. So this was all pretty much going on over the weekend. It escalated pretty quickly. Now, one relation to the big picture that I wanted to talk about is, I don't know, it was about a month ago. And I talked about this recently. Pay attention to what's going on in Europe. The last main time that I brought that up, we were having the riots going on in Europe. We were having a standing up against the government. We were having cars burning in the streets and even home invasions over there. Nothing was really happening over here. It really, as far as these riots or protests or even based on immigration. It ended up being almost the opposite of what was going on there. There, it was the conservative fighting to stop the immigration that's coming in. They were tired of the Muslims coming into the country and taking over the country. That was the deal in England and Liverpool and stuff like that. For us, we're doing that, but the other side's ticked off about that, saying that we shouldn't be stopping this immigration. They're fighting for the immigration instead of against the immigration. So that didn't really happen the way I thought it would happen, but it basically still happened. So we got these going on. They brought in the National Guard. I've been hearing that they're going to activate the Marines off of a base. I'm not sure how they're going to do that. My girlfriend was military. Talking to her, she was saying that it's not really legal constitutionally to deploy military in the U.S. I'm sure there's some workarounds. Martial law, I believe, is even National Guard. So we'll see what happens with that. Being that they put the National Guard in there, that ticked a lot of people off. Seems like the left is saying that's an escalation tactic, that they wanted to ramp up the anger in these protests by putting the National Guard in there. I don't think so. I do think Trump is right by saying it's to put a stop to it. Now, it's going to put a stop to it. I don't know. Last night, Sunday night, was fairly mellow. All hell didn't break loose. And that was, I believe, the first day the National Guard got in there. So, is it working? Kind of looks that way. Is it a good thing? No. No, we shouldn't have any branch in the military to protect us from Americans. You're in a bad position if that's going on. So hopefully this is the end of it. What I'm going to look for as far as these riots go is how is this going to spread. I am not too worried about very large cities. Like if we have something like this happen in Chicago or Miami, New York, Boston, one of those places, it's going to be expected. It's when it's going to start reaching into Phoenix, Denver, Vegas, Birmingham, Nashville, Knoxville, St. Louis, Kansas City, places like that. Even all up and down in the Midwest, big cities like Omaha, Wichita, stuff like that, that you don't really hear. When we start hearing about these protests coming into play in these cities, that's when I'm going to start worrying. That's when the level of civil unrest is going to become basically at a critical level. It's where you're going to have to really start watching every time you go out, everywhere you go, and how you go there and how you are prepared to go there. So right now we're not there. I'm not too worried about. I know there's going to be more of them. I have a feeling there's going to be more of them, but how that escalates is what I'm going to pay attention to. So As of right now, I'm pretty much fine with it. I'm not fine with these riots happening. They should never happen, but I am not personally concerned for my own well-being as of right now regarding these. So another thing I want to talk about today, Trump is going and not meeting with Xi Jinping. He is going and meeting with representatives of the CCP. So it's not even apples to apples. The only thing that's happened in the trade deals as far as China goes is there was a little bit of a lift on China's part with the rare earth minerals. Probably just a good gesture to say that they are willing to work with the United States, but they have not budged off of what they actually want, which is mutual respect. And equal respect in the world that we have. China wants recognized for what they're doing, and we have to be very, very careful about that, because if we start recognizing China to be the superpower, they're just going to take it over. So it's probably going to end up in a war. It's probably going to end up in some sort of conflict. So this trade war and China being the nice guy and stuff like that, I'm not really sure what that's about. Yeah, it's a nice gesture. Yeah, it's nice for China to come into the public eye saying, hey, we're willing to work. We are willing to come your way a little bit. But the main core thing that China wants, they're probably never going to get without a fight. So when it comes back and the United States says no, well, China was being the good guy. The United States is going to be the bad guy. It's tactic. At least that's the way I see it. So they are going to have a meeting today. I'm not sure what time. They're kind of covering it on and off as far as the news goes. But Trump is going to be meeting with the PLA, or not the PLA, but the CCP, and trying to figure out some sort of trade deal that we can come up against. If China says F it, they're not going to keep dealing with the BS that the U.S. is trying to push on them. They have a lot of control. Things that I've talked about before. They can cut our power, they can cut our goods, and obviously with recent news, they can poison our farms, they can poison our animals, they can poison our humans. They can do all this stuff. They've had this stuff here for a long time. We've caught them doing these things, yet it still happens. Just like we caught the illegal police stations, we caught the illegal pharmaceutical labs, if that's what you want to call it, biowarfare labs, where they're creating viruses like herpes and stuff like that that can be used as a biowarfare weapon. Nobody really talks about that anymore. That's a very, very big deal. And then we caught this lady and a man coming into the country with these funguses to kill off the crops. Biowarfare, most definitely. Yeah, we have these things going on, and that's what I worry about. So if these trade deals don't really add up to much, if they end up going south, if they come to no agreements at all, if we piss off China, these are the things we might be looking at. The unfortunate thing with biowarfare is you don't see it come until it's way too late. Everything is going to be done by the time we realize something is about to be done. That's the nasty part of it. So, just for a quick instance, if these people with the fungus ended up getting to the crops, infecting the crops and stuff like that, it's going to be silent for a couple weeks, a month, depending on the site or what stage of the crops that they put this fungus on, or how that's going to get affected. I'm not a scientist. I don't know how that works, but it's going to get to the store. It's going to be bought by the consumer, consumed by the consumer, and that's going to affect us, as well as killing the crops, raising the price and stuff like that. So by the time we actually see all this stuff, the damage is long done. So that's kind of the bad thing about that. So as far as China goes, really curious to pay attention to what's going on right now with these meetings that we're going to be having with China and how that works out. Unfortunately, we're only going to get the BS that comes out of it. We're only going to get the polarized United States version of what the talks, or how the talks went, rather. and not the reality of it. Not even really going to believe China much on this one, but China is pretty straightforward and they don't really have a reason to bullshit. They can say it like it is and stand behind what they do. So kind of paid attention more of what China is saying, less of what Donald Trump is saying, but I'm going to keep my ear on both of them. And I'm really curious about that today. So yeah, pay attention to the things that are going on as far as these protests go. If you hear about one, it wouldn't be a bad idea to pay attention on social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you watch, listen to, read, anything like that. If there's any protest in your area, if there's going to be any protest in the cities that you're around, if there are, try to avoid the area. Pay attention as you're going in and out of the cities or in and out of these areas about excessive traffic backups. If you're going into a downtown area and it's not supposed to be really backed up, but you're starting to get a lot of congestion, a lot of foot traffic and stuff like that, turn around, go around, figure out a different way to do it. Just avoid the situation altogether. I think that's going to be your best bet. Out here on the homestead, out in the country, I'm not going to have to worry about it probably at all. Two biggest threats are going to be Kansas City and St. Louis. Kansas City's been going downhill quite a bit lately. I've been hearing more and more about just BS things happening in Kansas City. That's always been my preference over St. Louis. If I do have to go to a big city for whatever reason, it's usually not a reason other than passing through. St. Louis is not going to be my choice. So as far as some of these riots go and stuff like that, St. Louis is pretty high on the list. I would say that's going to be one of the major cities that I'm expecting things to happen, expecting it to kind of go down in St. Louis. St. Louis had Ferguson and all those riots. I think we all know Ferguson and remember that one. That is basically north of St. Louis. So that's the St. Louis area. But I'm going to be paying attention to that. I'm not really going to any cities. Any other cities that are closer are going to be cute little demonstrations at best and nothing at all. Nothing. In fact, anti-demonstration activity might be going on more so. So I don't have a whole lot to worry about here. Just paying attention to the garden and stuff like that. So not a lot of this stuff affects me, but I do go into cities randomly. We go down into a small city south of us. So yeah, I'm kind of paying attention to it, but just be on alert slightly. Don't be paranoid. Don't be, all sketched out in traffic and stuff like that. That's probably going to be more of a bad thing than a good thing. But just think about things. If you come across a unique situation, think about it. What could this be? Could this be something worse? Is it going to be something that's nothing at all? Is there something going on at the convention center that night? Things like that. So it's good to avoid it. And that's coming from somebody that's been in the heat in the middle of a BLM rally is, pepper bombs are getting tossed and lobbed back and forth. It's not too fun. It's not too fun. So anyway, just wanted to touch on these couple subjects here real quick, just because it is definitely dominating the media and the news. Just had something crawling on my neck. Yeah, it's dominating everything right now. So I just kind of wanted to tell you guys where I'm standing on it. Just as a quick summary, pay attention to the rallies. See if it really escalates and encroaches into your area, and pay attention to what's going on what China says out of these trade deals. Search that out. You're going to get bombarded with Trump. Pay attention to what Xi Jinping is saying too. Maybe meet somewhere in the middle. I would say honestly, logically, and through the history of the way these people talk, believe China a little bit more than believe Trump. And I hate to say that, but anyway, I'll leave it with that. Want to touch on these two subjects. So I hope everybody's going to have a wonderful week this week, and have a wonderful Monday here in the Ozarks. It's beautiful. It is, the sun's starting to come out. It looks like the haze is kind of breaking a little bit, so it should be a warm one today. I'm going to try to get some stuff done around the homestead. I'm going to be heading out to the garden right now. I got to check on the chickens. They were out all night. Hopefully enclosed in the security cage that I have as a chicken run. I'm hoping everybody is fine. But we left for the day yesterday and I forgot to take the chickens out. And yeah, so I just left them out for the night. If they want to come and go, get water, food, anything like that, throughout the night, they can do that and they should be safe. But I got to get out there and check on them. So I will leave with that. I will talk to you guys soon. Till next time, peace.